Good morning, students. This video is for class 6 science, and as we have been continuing with chemistry, today also we will continue with chemistry. Today our topic of discussion will be the causes of the effects. In the last class we have already explained causes, so today we will learn the effects of water pollution. So what are the effects? That means what are the results of water pollution? Polluted water causes infections and life-threatening diseases in living organisms. Some of the harmful effects of water pollution are the following. That means water pollution, when the water gets polluted, it actually causes lot of diseases as well as life-threatening. That means you may die when you use this water, contaminated water. So it is not only that they will cause disease, but they can also give you life-threatening diseases, or they can take away your life. So the first one, discharge of domestic waste into water bodies leads to contamination of water. Thus, it adversely affects the living organism that consume this polluted water. It also kills aquatic life. So when the domestic waste are not thrown properly, if when they are thrown in the water, they causes water pollution. They contaminate, they make the water impure. When this impure water is taken by the aquatic life, that means the living organism that live in the water, it causes a very huge effect on the life. It can causes disease as well as it can kill the aquatic life. So domestic waste should be disposed properly, not we shouldn't instead of throwing it in the water bodies. Next is industrial waste released into water bodies contains toxic compounds and gases which cause health complications in living organisms and harmful aquatic plants and animals. When the industrial wastes are thrown into the water bodies, when they reach the water bodies, they contaminate the water, they make the water polluted. And when this water is used by the aquatic life, it causes very harmful disease as well as life threatening. It can take away the life of the aquatic life, that means the animals that live in the water, because industrial waste mostly contains toxic compounds, that means poisonous compounds, poisonous chemicals. So when this chemical reaches the water, it makes the water contaminated, and thus aquatic life gets affected. Next, thermal pollution changes the temperature of water bodies, which affects the aquatic plant and animal, because the oxygen content in water decreases. The sudden variation in temperature kills many fishes and other aquatic organisms. This is called thermal shock. Now, suppose if you are in the AC room, the body temperature will be adjusted according to the temperature of the room. Now, suddenly, if you go out of the room, you will feel very hot. Why? Because your body temperature is actually adjusted to the temperature of your room, which is actually cooled by the air conditioner. Now, suppose if you go outside, you will suddenly feel the heat of the environment, the outside heat. In the same way, when this thermal pollution takes place, it changes the temperature of the water. Now, when the hot water comes and reaches to the stagnant water, that is water in the pond or some water bodies, they increase the temperature of the water that is present in the water bodies. Thus, this actually leads to the decrease of oxygen. And when the oxygen gets decreased, when the oxygen level is very low, the aquatic plants and animals have a very big problem and they die because of oxygen, less of oxygen, scarcity of oxygen. And this sudden change of the temperature is known as which actually leads to killing of different types of animals and plants. This is known as thermal shock. Next is untreated sewage consists of many microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites. These microorganisms can cause harmful diseases such as diarrhea, dysentery, cholera, and typhoid when water from such sources is used for human activities. So when the waste product is not treated, when the waste product is not disposed properly, it gets affected by different kinds of microorganisms. And when this sewage reaches the water bodies, it actually impures the water bodies. It actually changes the purity of the water, And when this contaminated water, when this impure water is used by human body is affected with different kinds of diseases such as dysentery, cholera, malaria, and etc. Why did I say malaria? Because you'll see sometimes, most of the time you'll find mosquitoes growing in the stagnant water, dirty water, and when this bite, it causes you malaria. So there are different kinds of diseases which are actually affected by water pollution, as well as the environment if it is not clean. Next, when water from agriculture field flows to rivers and lakes, the nutrients present in fertilizer causes the growth of algae in water bodies. Algae covers the entire surface of the water bodies, thus this leads to the depletion of oxygen in water and also prevents sunlight from reaching aquatic plants and animals, thus leading to their death. This is known as eutrophication. Let me explain you what is eutrophication. Now, when there is a rainfall and it washes out the fertilizer that is used in the agricultural crops. When the water flows away along with the fertilizers, and when they reach the water bodies, the aquatic plant, especially the algae which are actually not considered as plant, but when they receive these nutrients from the fertilizers, they starts growing at a very fast rate, at a very rapid rate, and then when they start growing, they cover the upper layer of the water, and when the upper layer of the water is fully covered by algae, oxygen cannot reach the water, and this is why the level of oxygen that is in the water starts decreasing day by day, because the oxygen outside cannot get mixed because it is covered with algae. So the oxygen level in the water starts decreasing day by day, and when it starts decreasing, it starts affecting the aquatic plant and animal. So when there is less of oxygen in the water, these plants and animals start dying because they don't get enough of oxygen. This is known as eutrophication. So we have to stop that water that is mixed with fertilizer to enter the water bodies, so that the algae doesn't get enough nutrients from there and they cannot grow properly. The last effect, oil spill forms. This is also same as the points I have explained earlier. When there is a oil spill, the oil does not get mixed with water. So when there is a oil spill, when there is a leakage of tanker and oil starts spilling, they make a layer on top surface of the water. This also prevents the oxygen from reaching the water, and it starts decreasing the level of oxygen in the water. This causes death to many aquatic plants and animals. Oil spill from a layer of oil on the water surface in oceans and seas. This restricts sunlight from entering water bodies, which affects aquatic life. When there is a layer, when there is a blockage, water cannot get oxygen as well as sunlight, which they require to get mixed with and provide that nutrients to the aquatic plant and animal. When they do not get this, there is a severe death of aquatic plants and animals. So I hope children, all of you have understood the effects of water pollution. Let us now start with methods to prevent water pollution. Methods to prevent water pollution. What are the ways that we should follow so that there is no water pollution? The water does not get contaminated. Let us say, prevention of water pollution includes conservation of water that is available for the ever increasing human population. So we should prevent water pollution so that water can be the amount of fresh water required by the increasing number of population day by day should be met. That means they get enough water so that they can use it for their own purposes. So what are the methods? The first one is that government should impose strict laws against disposal of waste or sewage by industries, hospitals, markets, etc., which can help minimize water pollution. Fines should be levied on lawbreaker. That is, government should impose a law on those part, on those on those which who actually dispose this waste product, waste material anywhere, leading to water pollution. So if there is a disposal, if there is a proper disposal, government should say that it's fine. And if there is anyone, industries, factories and so on, hospitals, if they break this law of disposing the waste product in the water, government should impose very strict law, as well as they should be fined for this. Next, the general population should be educated about the danger of water pollution and how to prevent it by organizing awareness programs and workshops. So we people have to be educated. If you are educated, if you know the danger of water pollution, what water pollution can cause to your life, you will be knowing. If you know, then you will be very aware, very careful about not making the water polluted. So once you know, you should educate others the dangers of water pollution. That means what water pollution can cause. So we should educate each other so that we should not make the water contaminated or polluted. Next, domestic sewage should be treated before being let off into the water bodies. Instead of synthetic detergent, biodegradable detergent should be used to reduce water pollution. So the waste that is created in the house, they should be treated properly. We should be very careful about those waste products which, after throwing it in the water, they can cause water pollution. So we should dispose them properly in proper place, so that those product doesn't reach the water bodies and start contaminating or start polluting the waters. Toxic chemicals and waste product released from industry should be treated before being disposed of into water bodies. That means what the poisonous chemical, the poisonous compounds that are released by the industries should be treated so that they don't reach the water bodies and start contaminating. So they should be treated properly, they should be disposed properly. There should not be a let out where the poisonous compound or poisonous chemical reach the water bodies and starts contaminating the water. So there should be some treatment process so that toxic chemicals or compounds do not reach the water bodies. Modern irrigation methods like drip irrigation and sprinkle irrigation should be used instead of flooding the field with water. Flooding the field with water leads to runoff water that carries fertilizers with it and pollutes the nearby water. So there should be modern facilities, modern irrigation. What do you mean by drip irrigation? Suppose if this is a lake and you have planted here. Now, drip irrigation means there should be pipeline here, and here should be one opening. Again, here should be one opening. Here should be one opening. Here should be. So there should be one opening just near the root of each and every plant. So that, and you should allow the water so that the water reaches the root of that particular plant drop wise in small droplets, so that it takes away that much amount of water which is required. Instead of just taking the pipe and then throwing water and wasting water, instead of doing that, you can use drip irrigation. That means a pipeline where there should be one small opening to each and every part of the plant, each plant, so that you do not waste water. Now, if you start flooding, if you throw whatever water you feel like, that means it will carry this excess water, will actually carry the fertilizer that is used in the plant, and this fertilizer will flow and it will go reach the water bodies and it will start contaminating. So we should be very careful about how much water we are giving to the plants. The last one, use of biodegradable fertilizers and pesticides should be encouraged in order to avoid accumulation of harmful chemicals in the soil and water. So this biodegradable fertilizers, the fertilizers that gets mixed, that actually becomes useful for the land, useful for the plant, that should be used instead of using chemicals which actually affects the water. So we should use those fertilizers which increases the level of nutrients in the plant, instead of just using chemicals which actually affects the plant as soil as well as the water. So I hope you have understood these methods of prevention. So children, for today we will keep it till here. In the next class, we will learn about conservation of water. So for today, up to this much. Thank you, class.